All right. So we're just gonna do a Q&A. A Q&A. Today's Q&A day. Let me look at the chat. Today's Q&A day. All right. Yeah, I don't have too much of anything for you today, but today's a Q&A. So this is something where I'm just gonna be great morning, great morning, great morning. I'm doing a Q&A today. So this is Q&A day. Uh, if you got questions, I'll take your questions. Yeah, so this is gonna be a Q&A where I'm just gonna be taking questions in and answering them here on the live. The last couple lives, I kind of went through, just kind of breaking down some things a little bit more in depth, but this line is one. Hydration is a game changer. All right, nice. Appreciate that, Sundown. Appreciate that for getting that. Are you using that are you using that hydration morning and night, or just in the morning, or just at night? How often are you using it, and what times of the day are you using it? Yeah. If you just popping in, this is your boy B. Listen, this is Q&A day. This is Friday. Typically, I will go through and kind of break down and go a little bit more in depth in hair loss, but today I just want to take your questions. I know I haven't been able to get to the questions. I run out of time, so I want to take your questions and uh, and answer them here. So if you got any questions regarding hair loss, let me know. But the one thing I would want to say, I want to add this about hair loss or thinning men who are losing their hair. Pride is making, and this is just for me. I'll explain a little bit more. But what I want to say is this: pride is making a lot of men lose more hair than they had to, and it's not because they don't care. It's because they wait. They end up hiding it. They either keeping the cut low. They do a brush over their hairline. They tell themselves it's not that bad. And by the time they finally face it, the top is way worse than it needed to be. I had a guy who I had a client that I talked to, or a consultation. If you guys don't know, I do free consultations. I do free consultations, and I had a guy I did a free consultation with, and I'm gonna put the link. Join my school community. I just started, so members are coming in as we build it. So we're building it as we go. But I do free hair consultations, and I had someone that I was doing a consultation with, and he had been dealing with hair loss for the last 2 years, and so I was just sharing with him things that I would recommend him to do, the direction I would recommend him to go. But he had made his own concoction, his own DIY concoction, and and I know that what he needed for his situation, for his hair situation, he needed more than a DIY concoction. He needed some professional help. But again, he was too prideful. Not that he didn't care. He does care, but he was just too prideful to get that professional help. And so what ends up happening to guys like him, and I see it all the time. Guys like him, they start doing DIY stuff, and there's a time and a place for it. But for his hair loss situation, he was out of the window of doing DIY. And there's a window for some guys where you shouldn't be doing DIY. You should be going into a professional space. Either you can do it with me, or you can find someone else that you would like. But the point of it is that you need a plan. You need a daily plan. You need a weekly plan. You need a monthly plan, and you need somebody who can track it for you, and someone who can help you along your journey. And so this particular individual wanted to just do it by themselves, which is perfectly fine. I mean, that's your prerogative if that's what you want to do. But again, there's trade offs to having a mentality of I'm gonna do it by myself. And the trade-off is that you have a window of opportunity to save your hair and to save more hair. The longer you go without getting that professional help or just making sure you get in front of you get the right person to help you, then that window closes. So now where you had a larger window in the beginning, now that window gets shorter and shorter and shorter because again, instead of you just asking, getting that professional help, your pride takes over and you think that you can do it, which I get it, I understand that as well. I've been in that situation and there's always trade-offs. So, anyways, he went off, he did his thing, or he's doing his thing. But guys like that typically come back around. I see them, down the road, and the pain has to be, they have to be in serious pain. You know what I mean? It's like, man, mama, my mama used to tell me, hey, boy, don't do this, don't do that. You should be doing that, and I ain't listen. And so it wasn't until I was in the straight, I was like broke, like at the bottom. I ain't had no hope. I was like, dang, I gotta call mama. So I had to, hey mama. She was like, I see. But sometimes we gotta go through a lot of pain in order for our eyes and our ears to be open to wisdom, you know, and understanding. But let's get to the questions. If you got questions, today's Q&A day. I don't want to ramble on with too many stories. I'll tell some stories here and there, but I also want to answer your questions. So you use it morning at 6 a.m. I haven't used it at night. Should I use it at night? So we have Sundown. He has I think it's the My Hydration. It's our leave-in beard conditioner, and he's using it in the AM. I don't know how short or long your beard is, but I would recommend using it in the AM and using it in the PM if you want to maximize uh, the product itself. And so a lot of times when you go to sleep with a dry beard, you end up waking up with a even drier beard. So you want to make sure when you go to sleep, you want to make sure your beard is hydrated, and then and moisturized on top of that when you go to sleep. So that's what I definitely recommend for you. And then I would say I don't know if you're wetting your beard lightly, you lightly damping your beard before you put the product on, but lightly damp. Don't You don't want your beard to be drenched in water because the My Hydration already has the primary ingredient about to say alopecia. My head is in the losing hair section of the store. Now I got to put my head back into the beard section of the store, and but aloe vera. So the number one ingredient in there is aloe vera. And so what happens is if you're putting too much water onto your beard, you're throwing off the ingredients. And so some guys I notice when I do talk to them, that's what they're doing, and they're like, "Oh man, why my beard feels a lot drier? I feel like it's not working." Because it's just their technique and how they're utilizing it. They're putting way too much water on their beard before they're applying the hydration. You should only like dampen your beard. So it's like you can put water on your hands, do the little, get a little bit off your hands like that, and then you can rub it on your beard, and then that's just lightly damp. You just want to lightly damp your beard. If it's drenched with water, then yeah, you're gonna throw off the recipe. Okay. So that's what I would just recommend. And then you can throw on and then I would say just wait. You can wait like maybe, depending on how dry your home is. Some people homes are a little bit drier than others. Some people are in different cities and states where it's a lot drier than others. That's also going to depend on how the product is going to respond to your beard. So those things matter, and so that's why when I work with my clients, I'm always having a great understanding. If you live in Las Vegas versus if you live in Tampa, Florida, if you live in Las Vegas versus Tampa, I mean, I don't know if who's from Florida, when you go down there, boy, you, well, you melting down there. But if you go to Las Vegas, it's very dry. So how you applying product, and how that product responds to your beard, your skin, your hair depends on your environment. So when I'm working with my clients, I'm doing customized, personalized plans based on their environment. I use the hydration oil and the balm in the morning. Oh, you in Texas? Yeah, yeah, yeah. You in Texas? I don't know how close are you to Beaumont? Beaumont, Texas. Yeah, man. But yeah, so you have it's very humid. It can get very humid in Texas. In Texas. Yeah. Yeah, buddy. All right. Any other questions? This is a Q and A. I'm taking all questions. Hair. If you're losing your hair, if you have a beard or skin questions, I know I had a guy who had ingrown hairs, really bad. I know I used to get ingrown hairs really bad under my neck, above my beard line. I used to get that bad. Oh, you about an hour? Oh, you in what, Houston or where you at? I mean, you ain't got to say you ain't got to tell nobody, but you in the H town. Yeah, 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 yeah. Um, my sister used to go out. She used to go to school down there in Beaumont, Texas. But yeah, so a lot of times guys are losing their hair, and when I'm dealing with the guys, they're at their wits end, you know, and so guys go through these particular stages where you try to take care of your hair. If you're losing your hair, you're trying to take care of yourself, and then things get worse because you don't know how severe it is, and so you're trying to do it yourself, and then things get, then all of a sudden things get out of control. So I find that with a lot of guys, it's just the pride, man. Not that you don't care, but pride definitely gets in the way of you just having a professional. Like I say, it can be me or it can be somebody else. Yep, Lamar. Yep, yep, yep. Lamar University. Yeah, yeah. That's where she went to. That's where she played ball. She played ball there. But yeah, I used to go down to. I used to go to Houston. I used to go to Houston, frequent Houston. Used to go to Houston. I had a friend out there who stayed at this time. This was like 2003, 2004. Stayed out in Katy, and this is before Katy was really. It was. This is like the beginning where they were building out that community. Because I remember when we used to go and drive out there, it was rarely any houses. These are like new builds in Katy, Texas. So, but yeah, man, this is like 2003, 2004. I used to go down there for Thanksgiving. I used to go down there for in December, Christmas and stuff like that. So I used to spend time in Texas. Mm-hmm. Screw, Screwston. Yeah. I remember my friend put me on Screw. Like literally, I was just like, "What?" I was like, "What is this?" I'm like, "What's this?" And man, it was like, "You don't know what this is?" I was like, "Nah, I ain't never heard." And shoot, I was stuck like a chuck. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, 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 yeah. It's my jam. So, and then that's when it's like that. That's when I don't know if y'all part of that mixtape era. I don't know how young or old y'all are, but if you part of that mixtape era, especially the Screw, yeah, boy, it was something to live. But I'm doing Q&As. If you have questions about you losing hair, normally I talk a lot in terms of just kind of going a little bit more in depth in terms of hair loss. But if you're losing hair right now, or if you have beard questions, let me know. How many times do I use the derma roller? How many times should I use the derma roller? Does the time of the day matter when to use it? Are you using this on your beard for your facial hair, or are you using it for your hair on top of your head? Because that's gonna matter. So let me know if you depending on what you're using it for. But yeah, so but another thing I think another issue that I find with guys who are losing their hair is that you're concealing it. And a lot of times when you are out here just doing the conceals, it can be the hair fibers, it can be you wearing a hat, it can be I had one guy that I did a consultation for, and he had permed his hair, and so he had permed his hair twice, and then he started to lose his hair, and so I just shared with him, just a couple things that I feel like that he need to start doing, and just really kind of helping him change the way he's looking at his hair loss, if you will. But again, you know, some guys are. You said for the okay for the beard. Yeah, I would say if you got a, are you using a point 0.5 millimeter derma roller? Yeah, are you using a point 0.5? Let's just say you're using a point 0.5 millimeter derma roller. So if you're using a point 0.5 millimeter derma roller, then you can use that twice a week. A point 0.5 millimeter derma roller twice a week. You can clean your beard, go ahead and use the derma roller. Boom, boom, boom. It doesn't matter the time of the day. It's just a matter of how much time you got during that particular day of time. It could be the AM, it could be the PM. It really don't matter. I would recommend probably the PM just because during the AM you probably gonna be moving around the city or moving around doing some stuff. So because when you're doing the derma roller, I wouldn't recommend you put any. I would recommend if you're gonna put any moisturizer on your beard, I would recommend it be like squalane, because it's the closest to what your skin is producing when you have facial hair and when you have hair on top of your head. So that's what I would just recommend. I wouldn't recommend putting any like beard oil and things of that nature. Um, if you're doing it in the AM, if you do it in the PM, then like I said, you can just do it. You can use put some hyaluronic acid serum on your beard, and then you can go to sleep and then wake up and then do your beard regimen. But once you do your derma roller regimen in the PM, don't go through your beard routine, okay? Because we just got done poking holes in our skin, and we don't want anything, any product, anything to get into those particular holes. So what you need to do is just the hyaluronic, because your skin is going to need more hydration at that point. So that's what I would do. Get the hyaluronic acid serum, add it to your skin after you derma roll in the PM, and then go to sleep or do whatever you do in the PM. But don't go if you're gonna go out and be out in the city and moving around. Don't derma roll that day. How would you recommend using hyaluronic acid in the morning with minoxidil and the retinol with minoxidil at night? The hyaluronic, what I would recommend you to do with the minoxidil, you want to do the hyaluronic first, right? And then I would wait. You can wait, whatever, 5 up to 5 minutes. Again, it's going to depend on how dry it is in your house. Some people it's a little bit more drier. Some people it's a little humid. So it might be 10 minutes for somebody, especially if it's July. Again, I'm just going to give you a general answer, but I also take these particular things into the equation. But generally speaking, hyaluronic, wait up to 5 minutes, and then you want to add the minoxidil. At night, I wouldn't mix the retinol with minoxidil, because those two are radioactive. I would wait. I would do them on different nights. I would give them 24 hours in between. You don't want to do retinol and minoxidil at the same time. You're gonna burn your face off, man. The one I purchased off the website, I think is point 0.5. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. So point 0.5 twice a week. You can do you can do up to twice a week. Yeah. If you got like a 0.25, then I would say you can do it every day. But point 0.5, I would say twice a week. For a full beard, you need a hair transplant. Do you need a hair transplant? For a full beard, do you need a hair transplant? I'm not really following what you're putting down. Should I use the derma roller on my hair before or after using the hair serum? I would do it before. And you should do I would, again, like I said, for the same thing with the beard, I would do the derma roller at night. I wouldn't, and then I would put the hyaluronic acid serum. If you want to put a moisturizer, I would say squalane. I wouldn't put any essential oils. And in the hair repair serum, it has essential oils, because the essential oils can be there's trade offs, right? So you don't want to put on essential oil onto your beard after you done poke holes in your hair. So you want to wait. I would wait. Either you can do that the next morning, or you can wait until the evening. But you can do the derma roller, hyaluronic acid, and then as an option, you can do the squalane oil or jojoba oil. Yeah, if you have jojoba oil after doing that particular type of treatment. And then, like I said, just wait. You can wait, 12 to 24 hours to use the hair repair serum. Peace, 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 brother. Just happened to say I appreciate all the content, man. I appreciate you, big dog. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm doing a Q&A, just answering questions on the fly right now. Typically, oh man, my MacBook about to die. Typically, I go in depth into the conversation of men who are losing their hair. And I started this off. Definitely follow me, join my school community if you guys want more. Join my school community. I'm putting that in the chat. Join my school community. I just started it. I had this young bull the other day. I was like, yeah, man, join my school community. He young. He's 17. He the same age as my son. You know what I mean? Like my son is 17. So when I saw him, I saw my son. But I thought it was funny, but I know this is how my son do me too. You know what I mean? But I hit him with the school community. He went on to the school. He's like, man, you only got 7 people? I was like, dang, it's a cold world out here. I was like, yeah, man, I'm just starting. Like, you got to start somewhere. like, you just don't start off with like a thousand people. You know what I mean? You got to build it. I was just like, but I get it. You know what I mean? He a young bull. So for him, you know, it's all about, what I mean? They following the crowd. They not mature yet to be like, yeah, but it's all love. You need to have, you need to have hair follicles. I'm trying to educate my homeboy. I told him you need follicles before you go on a regimen. Yeah, without follicles, it's like you can't drink water if you ain't got no faucet. You know what I mean? You can't drink water if you don't have no, nothing that the water can come out of. You just can't. You can't grow a plant if you ain't got no soil. You know, you can't grow a plant if you don't got the roots. So you can. So yeah, yeah. So that's what it just go hand in hand, man. You need the roots if you want to grow. So without that, but you need that. But again, you got to examine. I don't, you got to examine if you have those roots. And there's a couple ways you can do that. You can either go somewhere where somebody can actually examine it, put it under a microscope, and let you know if your follicles are still there, or if your follicles are on life support, or if you don't have any follicles and you have scar tissue. Also, do you use the derma roller if you use the retinol at night? I wouldn't use Don't use derma roller and retinol at the same time. You want to use derma roller and retinol on different days. Yeah. So anytime you are creating um, micro trauma to your skin or your scalp or whatever the case may be, then you don't want to put anything like retinol. You don't want to use anything like minoxidil. Those things are going to hit your bloodstream, and it's going to be a radioactive experience. So it can actually cause more, damage and hurt you more than it help you. So you want to make sure when you're using retinol, you want to use retinol 12 to 24 hours after you use Dermarol. That's why you don't want to, like, if you Dermarol, that's why you don't want to put alcohol onto your skin after you Dermarol. Or you don't want to put, I mean, I wouldn't recommend putting alcohol on your skin, period. But that's why you wouldn't use an exfoliant after you Dermarol on your skin. It's just radioactive, man. Also, do YouTube? We back? Yeah, man, we back, man. Always on Fridays. Okay, so I'm doing a live today. Is just a Q&A. I'm not really going into too much, but yeah. So I just had the kid, man. He was 17. I was helping him with his hair, and he told me, he said, "Man, I have enough. I got to get my followers up on my school community." I'm like, "That's what I'm doing." How you think you're gonna get your followers up? You got to get people to follow you, you know. And he was like, "Yeah, man, I check you out once a month." I was like, "It's a cold world, man. It's a cold," but I get it. You know what I'm saying? My son's 17. He do the same thing to me. Listen, my son do the same thing to me. Like, you know what I mean? He like, "Man, Dad, you old, big dog." So I ain't mad at it. How do you have? Do you have the cold wash back? No, we don't have back in stock. Right now, that is something that we have in production to bring back in stock. So we don't have that. That is out of stock, and we're working on getting that back into production. Into production. It's aloe vera gel on the scalp good for scalp health. It depends on the aloe vera. It really depends on the brand because not all aloe vera are the same. And so I wouldn't just say aloe vera, just give you a blanket statement. It just depends on the aloe vera that you're using. But typically, aloe vera is good, but it also depends on what kind of aloe vera. Because some aloe vera gel may have other oils and other ingredients in it. But if it's like pure aloe vera gel, then you're fine. You should be fine. But if it has like other ingredients, then that kind of changes the context of the conversation. Any word on the anti-serum face? I missed it. I just turned 34. Needed. Oh man, yeah, we had stopped producing that. And a big reason we stopped producing it, because the sales were low on it. We wasn't. So we have a number, a threshold, and for when we do a calculation, so for us to produce it, for us to buy the raw ingredients, for us to package it up, for us to ship and do all these particular things, we didn't go over that number, that threshold for us to make sense for us to continue to carry it. So we just couldn't carry it just because it was just, again, for our the formula that we have, it was below the formula for it to make sense for us to continue to carry it. So it just costs way more for us to carry it, market, promote it, and it just didn't, we wasn't really breaking even on it, to be honest with you. But yeah, it was definitely the serum face oil. But we may bring it back just to try it out and see if things are different now. But I would say get the face hydrator, the My Face hydrator. That's gonna be the game changer, man. You get the My Face hydrator, that's the game changer. That's gonna have your skin popping, clear as day. I use it all the time, and yeah, that's gonna have your skin popping, man. I'm 40. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm 41. Pardon me. I'll be forgetting how old I am. But yeah, that's what I would say. That face hydrator, that's the game changer. That's the game changer. That's what I would recommend if you don't already have it. Appreciate that. Ali the Great. I like that. Ali the Great. I like that name. Is it Yerski or a Y ski? Y ski. I got it from a Turkish hair clinic. What you get from a Turkish hair clinic? Y ski. Oh, aloe vera gel. Got you. Well, you went to Turkey. How could someone actually prevent? Did you go to Turkey? Was that a Turkey? You went to Turkey get a hair transplant, or you just kind of just a Turkish hair clinic just in general? How could someone naturally prevent further hair loss or preserve the hair after? Okay, yeah, 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 yeah. So I'm putting it together after hair. Man, you need a hair. You're gonna need a plan, man. You're gonna need a full out plan because I have a couple clients, but one of my clients that I'm thinking about specifically, they went to Turkey. They got the from what he this is what they tell me. They go get the hair transplant. The hair transplant, they give you everything in terms of to help you heal, but you don't have any plan in place because when you get a hair transplant doesn't mean, for anybody who's thinking about this hair transplant thing, a hair transplant doesn't is not a cure. So what that means is that because you get a hair transplant doesn't make you void of not experiencing hair loss or losing your hair again. You can still lose your hair. You can still lose your hair because the hair follows the body. The body doesn't follow the hair. So the hair is dependent on the body and the condition of the body internally, which can change the trajectory of what's going on underneath the scalp. Once it changes goes underneath the scalp, then it's going to change what's going on above the scalp. So, but anyways, I got this guy. He's in my program. Come to my program, man. Click the link. Get in my program. Get a free. First, I would say just get a free not free hair transplant, but get a free hair consultation. I just put the link here. Come to my school, get a free hair consultation, tap in with me, and let me see your situation. But um, this particular individual they didn't have no plan, they didn't have a protocol, they didn't have nothing. What they were doing little things here and there, but a lot of times, man, life happens. You become inconsistent. You're not using the right protocol. You're not using products and things in the right order. I find that's a lot of guys are just not using it in the right order. You're not waiting. Some guys are just not, they're using products together, and some products you need to wait 20 minutes before you use this product, or 30 minutes before you use the product, or you might need an enhancer before you use this particular product. Guys just don't know that these are the things that they should be doing. So um, it's out of order. You should be only using products on this particular day, and you shouldn't use another product on another particular day. And so, if you don't have a plan, a protocol that you can follow, and you can also track, because you might have to tweak or change things. If you don't have a really great tracking system, where you can track these things on a quarterly, on a weekly, on a monthly basis, then some things may not work out for you. So naturally, I would just have to see, because like everybody is unique, and everybody's different. To when you're saying naturally you have a hair transplant, it really is going to come down to the very first thing I would say is, uh, where are you when it comes to your numbers? What's your A1C? What's your vitamin D levels? What's your MCHC numbers? What's your iron levels? These things, that's what I would say. Before I even answer that question, how could someone naturally prevent further hair loss and preserve hair after a hair transplant? I want to know all your metrics when it comes to your labs, because that will let me know a lot more. Um, then I'll be able to give you a better answer, because naturally may not work for you. Natural doesn't work for everybody. You may be in the window where you need something different. You just had a surgery, so surgery after that surgery, you might need something that's going to be a little bit more stronger. Because to me, that tells me that you have a high propensity of DHT. You have a high propensity of whatever was going on internally. If you didn't fix that part, and all you did was just got a hair transplant, but you didn't fix the precipice, the beginning stages, if you will, what started it, what was the domino effect. You got to fix that. Are you prone to inflammation? You need to get that checked, because if you're still prone to inflammation, if you're still prone to um, you know the stress levels, or if you don't understand the art of sleep and things of that nature, if you're still sensitive to those things, because some people can like run off of 4 hours of sleep. Some people can run off of 6 hours of sleep. Everybody's level of body sensitivity is going to be different, and so that might change the trajectory of what's going on internally and on your scalp. So I put everything in three buckets. Um, and so when you look at it through these particular buckets, the third bucket is where you start to actually you start seeing the manifestation of your hair thinning. But that manifestation of your hair thinning, that started in bucket one. Whether your body was inflamed, nutritionally deficient, overeating, undereating, stress, your sleep habits were not great. Whatever. It can be anything in life, right? That puts a lot of pressure on the body, and it sustains it over a period of time, to where what happens with the body, it starts to deprioritize hair, because hair is just a luxury. So it starts to prioritize your liver, your lungs, your kidneys. It starts to redirect all these resources to those particular vital organs. And so your hair at that point, once those things start to change, once your body starts to change and reprioritize, then all of a sudden, over a period of time, you start to see your hair start to thin. But you may not know this has been happening. This could have been happening for 2 years. It could have been going on for a year that this change has been happening, and now it's manifesting in the mirror. So yeah, so I would say, you know, you got to get the innards. We got to check the innards. All right. I'm gonna be here getting off here in a second, but I just want to take a couple other questions. Any other questions? Any other questions? Any other questions? Any other questions you got? But yeah, so hair transplant. I had a guy. He had a hair transplant, and his hair transplant is failing him. And that's why when you look at LeBron James, people be LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James. Uh, that's why when people be looking at LeBron James, like LeBron James, how LeBron James, how did his hair transplant? What happened? Listen, I don't I can't say for certain because I wasn't there on the ground floor. But what I can say is that um, if you don't have the right protocol, then your hair transplant can fail you. And I can say for certain he didn't have the right protocol. For whatever reason, you know, or it wouldn't have definitely failed. And so we was able to see that in real time. So what it was, I don't know, but what I can say is that whatever he did not have, there was a gap, and that gap we was able to see it in real time when it came to his hair transplant. So money don't mean anything. Money don't mean anything. It don't mean nothing. It don't mean nothing. There's a lot of people. There's quite a few people who got money, but they may not be in the best shape, best health. They still losing their hair. Money don't mean nothing. It means something, but you know what I'm saying. Like, uh, yeah. I'm getting a cut today. Is zero point 0.5 to zero point 0.7 good for regrowing thin temple hair, brother? Zero point 0.5, zero point 0.7. Those are going to be more. If you're using a topical, a stimulant, then yes, it'll be great if you're using a topical with it. But pardon me, but if you're not using a topical with it, then it may not be the best. But I also would say that you want to figure out why are your temples are thinning, because you could be fighting against something that's stronger than your ability to grow your hair, you know. For example, you could be vitamin D deficient, and you're trying to correct what you can visually see, but if you don't get the foundation right, the mechanism that is keeping your hair growth cycle going, you need that to function. And if your vitamin D is low, then you already have a problem in the way that think about it as a factory, right? The factory is you want at the end you want to see this beautiful car, right? You want this beautiful car, but you're trying to figure out, well, man, why are the brakes, why the brakes are not working correctly? Well, you got to go back to stage 4, stage 3, or stage 2, wherever it is on the conveyor belt, to where there is a disruption in the way that the brakes are being put on. So here you are, you trying to do everything you can to fix the brakes, but that's not the problem. The problem is that you have to get to your vitamin D levels. I'm just using that as an example. I don't know your situation, but what I would say is, for 5.5, 0.7 dermal roller length, that's more so if you're trying to increase the amount of topical that is getting absorbed into the skin. Um, that's what it would do, for you. Man, I lost my my pod. My pod went out of style. Let me see. Can y'all hear me? Testing one, two, testing 1 2 3. Can y'all hear me? In the back, I see some baby hairs at the temples. The rest of my hair is still healthy, just my temples. Yeah, I just had some of that ashwagandha, ginseng, and vitamin D. I take raw stuff. But how much vitamin D? So then my next question for you is: you take vitamin D, right? Are you over-indexed on the vitamin D? And another thing I would ask you is, Do you know if you one if you're over index on vitamin D? Two, how much vitamin D you're taking? Let me give you an example. So I had another client who came in was taking vitamin D, and they were over indexed. They were taking like 10,000 IU's. Now they didn't need 10,000 IU's of vitamin D. You know, they needed roughly about 5,000 IU's, and everybody's going to be different in terms of how many IU's. And how we was able to get those numbers is that I was able to. He got his blood work. He brought his blood work. You know, we have a physician assistant who will go in and will analyze the blood work for them, and we can see, okay, is your vitamin D is it under optimized, or is it over indexed, meaning that you're in the danger zone where you got to bring it's toxic levels, so you got to bring your vitamin D levels down. And so we've discovered that his vitamin D levels was in a toxic range, and we need to bring it down into more of an optimal range for his hair to grow. Oh, sound is good. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. So that would be my other question for you. So, that would be the other thing that I would try to figure out. Okay, you taking vitamin D. What's your vitamin D range? And you may know these things. I don't know. You know, what's the range? If it's over 80, if when you get your vitamin D numbers, if it's over 85, 90, then it's toxic. You're in the toxic range. You need to bring that down, meaning that you need to stop taking the vitamin D for a month or two. Go back, get your vitamin D check after you do that, and then see if it's come down. Typically, it would come down, and then once it comes down, then you can restart back with a either 2,000, 3,000 IU's, 5,000 IU's, something like that. And then also check your vitamins and supplements, because some people are taking like vitamin. And also, are you taking vitamin D3 and K2? Check and see if you're taking vitamin D3 and K2, because that matters. So you want to make sure and see if you're taking vitamin D3 and K2. I recommend just taking them together. I don't recommend taking them separately, because that's just a little bit more math you have to do. But what happens with the vitamin D when you're taking vitamin D is going to boost your calcium um, absorption from the gut. But without enough K2, then that calcium can build up in your blood vessels. And when that calcium builds up in your blood vessels, then now that becomes another problem. Now you're not getting the oxygen and nutrients you need to your follicles. So. So that's what I would just recommend. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Any other questions? Any other questions? Yeah. But yeah, so now the guy who's on the transplant, I was just talking about the guys with the transplant. Now he on the transplant. I mean, he's post the transplant, and now we working with him right now to get his hair back to where he wants it to be, um, and get it back to just in a stable condition. So, yeah. So a 1 to 2 guard is better for my reg. 1 to 1. So a 1 to 2 guard is better for my regimen. 1 to 2 guard, like clippers. Yeah, I take vitamin D. You take vitamin D3 with K2? And when the last time you got your? If I don't get another question, then I'm just gonna be my last question. Um, are you taking vitamin D3? What's going on? To I don't even know how to pronounce that. I could just say the last part, official 3660. The other part, yeah, yeah. When the last time you got your vitamin D check, vitamin D3 check? And a lot of times, let me preface this. When we look at vitamin D, we look at it through the hair and follicle lens. A doctor or whatever, wherever you go get your blood work done, they're going to look at it through a health lens, meaning that, hey, can you go upstairs, can you go down the stairs, can you walk down the street, can you move, are you healthy enough to do those things? We look at it through an optimal range, right? Is there a nah, just vitamin D, and I have to get my blood work done from the derm. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we look at it from there's an optimal range that we look at it from. You know, your standard doctor, they're going to look at it from a health range, but we look at it from an optimal range. What you need in terms for hair growth, because again, you have to understand, hair is a luxury, it's not a necessity. So you need to be in an optimal range. If you're just in a health range, health means what? Your liver, your lungs, all your bone, all these particular things, your kidneys, right? That's general health. But when it comes to your follicles and being in an optimal range, you need to have enough for all those other things, like all the organs. But then you need enough also for your hair as well. And so when your body is always swaying throughout the year, from whatever lifestyle that you chose to live, smoking, drinking, not sleeping, scrolling, not whatever. Like everybody got a lifestyle, stress, everybody's body deals with these particular elements differently. But depending on your lifestyle, your body's always going up and down. And so if you're not understanding how that, when your body's going up and down, it's going to be using these nutrients at different times. So, so what you need enough vitamin D for your hair to be like, okay, you know what, your liver, your oxygen, your lungs, all the health things, all the things that are a priority that your body prioritize, we good over here. You know what I mean? We got you here. Here's a little bit more vitamin D you can use for your hair. So it ships the vitamin D to your hair. You know what I mean? So your hair like, oh, cool, appreciate that. Thank you, body. So the vitamin D is going to give your hair, the body's going to give your hair that extra vitamin D, but that's only if it's optimized for it. Yeah, she never blood work done. I'm definitely getting it done by next week. She never suggested it. Yeah, and I mean that's typical because a derma roller, I mean a dermatologist, just the name derm, right? It's skin, right? They deal with everything in terms of what we can see, skin. And some, might specialize in things. Don't get me wrong, but typically a dermatologist typically is just thinking skin. That's what derm, you know, derm means. And so, when you're looking at when you're going through a dermatologist, you kind of just got to take that with a grain of salt. Yeah. So is that's their lane. But if you're looking at like anatomy in terms of like like taking everything holistically, then you might look at into a trichologist because they're looking at it from a holistic standpoint. When you're dealing with a dermatologist, they're looking at every types of anybody. If you got bad acne, if you have any like skin conditions, right? If you have whatever, right? Anything when it comes with that has to deal with the skin, breakout rashes, things of that nature, uh, eczema, you name it, right? Psoriasis, they're dealing with a lot of skin conditions because that's what derma means, skin. But they're not specialized into a specific spot, if you will. For a trichologist is focusing on like holistically the hair. What is impacting the hair? When we look at the liver, the lungs, everything, we're looking at it. Okay, how does this impact the hair? Okay, how does this impact the hair? Again, it's the lens that what we're looking at it through. How does this impact the hair? Stress. How does it impact the hair? Always gonna ask the question. Sure, if your foot blew, we asking how's it impacting the hair? You know what I mean? If you cut your pinky, how's it impacting the hair? Right. So that's how we look at everything. And I'm over exaggerating a little bit when it comes to your pinky being being cut, a paper cut. But you get what I'm saying. What's that blood? It's in the blood. What's blood? What blood work is it's a layer of things, But I could just give you a couple of things: vitamin D3, your MCHC, your liver, your iron, um, things of that nature. So you're just checking to see what's going on internally, what's going on with the body, what condition is the body in. So you always like twice a year, get your blood work. It's 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 if you ever driven a car, if you drive a car, if you have a car, If you ride with somebody with a car, if you're riding with somebody with any type of mode of of transportation, you don't want ever to be in a car where there's no deck, and that deck can tell you how much gas you have, your engine light, transmission light, how fast you're going, how slow you're going. It kind of gives you a little bit about what's going on with the car. If the car didn't have those particular things, then I don't think anybody would get in a car that didn't have a way to know if the engine light, if there's a transmission, or if there's something wrong with the tires, the tire pressure, or how much gas you have. That's probably one of the things the person will be like, oh man, your gas, your gauge don't work on your gas. Oh, this is a dangerous situation. Nobody getting in the car. And listen, I've been in the car where the gauge on the gas didn't work. My man just had like muscle. He just knew it up in here. He knew how far he can go. You know what I'm saying? This is back in high school. We was going through like, man, cousin, you think we got a gas? Boy, you don't understand how we was playing with life. We was gonna be on foot. We was gonna be on foot and gravel. That's it. But I don't know if anybody ever rode in a car when the gas gauge didn't work. Dangerous. It's dangerous. So, but that is when you are moving around in life. If you don't know these things, you're basically walking around blindly because you don't know what's going on with the body. And then what ends up happening is, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, this is what ended up happening is that all of a sudden when you start looking in the mirror, you're losing your hair. You're losing your hair because the hair follows the body. The body doesn't follow the hair. So there's something going on internally. That's your engine light that your body sends to you and tells you there's something going on. Because typically, for the most part, if some guys it may take a little bit, it has to take, it needs something like the hair for a person to be like, wait a minute, what's going on? And even then, if they start to see their hair thin, men don't think, oh, you know what? There's something internally happening. Let me go check this out. What they say is like, oh, let me go get a derma roller. Let me go get minoxidil. Let me go get finasteride. Let me go get some oil. Let me go get, you know what I mean? It's always external, the things that they're trying to do to fix a problem. But the problem is it's internal. So the external is never fixed or never worked on, or it's just not properly worked on because the internal, you're only looking at it. You're looking at it's three layers, and you're only focusing on one layer. And the layer that you're focusing on is the skin, but you're not focusing on beneath the skin. You're not focusing on the internal chemistry of the body as well. You need to be focusing on all three of those parts because hair oil won't deal with internal chemistry. If the hair oil doesn't deal with what's going on beneath the scalp. Hair oil only deals with what's going on above the scalp, or even finasteride, or minoxidil, uh, things of that nature. I gotta run. It's been fun. I gotta get to a meeting, and yeah. With that being said, I'm here every Friday, always on Fridays. Tuesdays, you can find me on Instagram on Tuesdays. It's about a 15-minute, 20-minute live. I'm not on there long, but you can catch me there. With that being said, enjoy y'all weekend, and I'll see y'all next week. Peace. I'm out.